I think he made great strides as a passer. I think the passing game, I mean, they went 21 to 30 for 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. That's why I said upon reflection, I was too hard on Avery Johnson. But I will say it is so significant and important for this team for him to really be a good runner. It really
Yeah,
is.
no,
It's no fault of his own, but they need that component.
hello and welcome to another Three Mile Pod. I am your host today, Cole Manbeck, joined by Derek Young, who is back from Ireland from the long journey that he endured, and I'm sure he'll have a hell story from his travel experience that he went through. As you guys probably saw some of it on Twitter, did not envy the great DY and Mason and Drew Galloway and the band and others that had to endure some of what they had to do to get to Ireland. But first, before we jump in and talk to DY and get his thoughts on the game, as always, want to thank our friends over at Holiday Distillery and just want to give them another shout out for the amazing time at the watch party on Saturday over at the distillery in Weston. Obviously, not the outcome that any of us wanted or hoped for, but it was an amazing event. I mean, what a cool venue space, what a cool location, campus. It was really phenomenal. Just an A+ job all around. The drinks were flowing. Everything was great. Fans were into it. It was packed. We sold the thing out, as you guys know, and just tremendous experience. Live music. Shout out to Lindsay. I believe it was Lindsay. She was phenomenal playing cover songs over there on the music as well before the game and during timeouts, etc. So really cool time. Encourage you, if you haven't had the opportunity to get out to the actual distillery location, go take a tour, go check it out. And if not, the home opener is this weekend. So go pick up a bottle of Ben Holiday Bottled and Bond Bourbon, the soft red wheat, the original, whatever it is that you enjoy. Go pick one up and have it on hand at your tailgate. DY, how you doing after 4 days of just a crazy 5 days of just absolute crazy whirlwind, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was a wild few days. I'm okay now, but it was a wild few days. I think the more the rougher days were like Thursday and Friday, to be honest. Everything else has been kind of smooth sailing since. No issues on the way back. It was easier to fly on the way back too, for whatever reason. I'm sure it has something to do with how time zones are and everything, but flying back is a lot easier than flying there.
Have you got your body clock reset to able to fall asleep at night?
Yeah, it was. I was in Ireland such a short amount of time and even lost a day, so I don't even think I got acclimated the third time. So
What was the experience like over there? I saw your tweet, like kind of pregame. I saw a tweet from
pregame
Kevin about
was
it too.
pregame was pretty incredible. Yeah, I mean it was the national anthems were pretty fun to experience, both the United States and Ireland, and the crowd was as juiced up as I can remember for a game on both sides. Uh, Stadium was completely full. There was a lot of international fans there too, so it was basically, I would say, like 30% Iowa State, 30%, maybe a little bit more. It was Kansas State and Iowa State were even, and then there was a lot of international fans on top of that.
Well, how do you kind of, now that we've had 3-4 days to sit back and reflect on what we saw, and I know you watched the All 22 film, and I guess I should just tee that up for everybody that's watching this show. Obviously, we don't have Curry this week. Curry is still in Ireland. Bless his soul. For I would be a miserable SOB after that, still being in Ireland. So we're not doing the All 22 film review with Curry this week, but DY and I are going to roll some All 22 plays just as a sample for all of you, and we'll do that later in the show. So stay tuned for that if you're watching on YouTube. We'll run a few plays, show some opportunities where there, highlight some of the good that K-State did, and maybe a couple of missed chances as well. So I want to talk about that, and we'll remind everybody to watch that as we go through it. But how do you kind of respond and react to what you saw on Saturday, DY?
Yeah, there's no one issue. It was more inconsistency. There were some parts that were better than others, but I mean, you played a fine game in the first half on defense, and you played a fine game in the second half on offense. And special teams was below average. Wasn't the disaster it was last year, but it certainly wasn't good either. So it's just like it's hard to play complementary football, which is what Iowa State tries to do, Kansas State tries to do, Baylor tries to do, plenty of teams in this league, Oklahoma State, Utah. The idea is complementary football because you're just not loaded with 5 stars across the board. So you have talent that it may not just be an NFL talent at nearly every position. So complementary football is rather important. And when you can't get the sides of the ball on the same page, that's just going to be lacking. A trend from last year that was sustained in that game was the lack of field position. Iowa State certainly won that. And you're behind a ball on that and basically in a hole from the onset because of the muff punt right at the beginning. I mean, that really sets you back, and that really spearheaded things from a field position standpoint. I think this team probably, I'll say this, and it's something I'm going to write about. And this really isn't anything X's and O's wise. And to be honest, the X's and O's are all good and fun, but I don't think that game was really about the X's and O's. There were situational moments where it was, but it's about a team that needs more than one Desmond Purnell, quite frankly, or more guys like him, because they're missing a certain amount of grit, physicality, and toughness that they get from Desmond Purnell, but I'm kind of searching from where it is everywhere else. So people can take whacks at Desmond Purnell like they did all off season, but Kansas State would be better served if they had more guys like him.
I would probably throw Austin Romaine into that, wouldn't you? Damian Ilalio,
Eli Leo, I thought was really good in the first half, kind of wore down, probably played too many snaps. Austin Romaine was good, but I was left wanting more from a guy that's going to be talked as an All-American. Your defense can't be that bad against the run in the second half if he's that good.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I want your thoughts on this, DY, because this kind of hits on what you just said. Like John said after the game, and I agree with this, he said this team, just from watching that game, seems to lack an edge to them.
I don't know. I mean, if edge is like grit, physicality, toughness, I would agree. You just gotta. There's a mindset missing there. I don't think it's a fluke or a coincidence any longer that whenever there's a certain amount of weather conditions that pop up, they lose.
Boy, you're right about that. Every Iowa State game the last 3 years been kind of wacky weather. Last year it was just bitterly cold. Houston game, yeah, you got to battle through that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's just not that. That's what I think, that more than the X's and O stuff is what concerns me the most.
Yeah, we'll see how they respond this weekend against North Dakota. Obviously, we'll have the pregame show coming later this week on the feed as well, and we'll break that down more in depth. This is really about talking about Iowa State. I'll be curious to see how they bounce back and kind of what the mentality looks like. But I don't know what we'll be able to take away from playing North Dakota, really. So that's going to be the challenge. And DYU and I were texting about it, as we look ahead, because we're obviously going to spend plenty of time on the show looking back. But as we look ahead, kind of one of the things that John teed up to me was, is this a team that could contend for Big 12 championship based off what we saw? And my lean was no at the time, but also what I was saying was, it's really going to be hard for us to know anything over the next few weeks because these are all games they need to win and have to win.
Yeah.
We're not going to learn a lot till Baylor and Waco, right? Unless they slip up in one of these next 4. If they do that, then I think we've learned a lot in a negative way.
Yeah, no, I mean, any loss before Baylor's, almost like a catastrophe at this point. They have their backs against the wall already. I mean, it's almost like you have to go out and rip off 4 wins in I guess 5 weeks before Baylor because you get the bye before UCF.
Yeah, you get
the bye. So you have to rip off 4 wins in 5 weeks, which you should be able to do given the opponent that's going to be across the field from you. But again, I will be honest, like we've said this, the circumstances are not going to be the easiest, but how tough are you? Like they have to be tough to win. You don't have to be a great team across the board to win the next 4 games in 5 weeks, but you got to be tough because you got to go play perhaps the most physical team on the schedule in Army, and you got to do Arizona on a short week after that, a Friday night on the road, where road teams tend to falter quite a bit. In that spot, Big 12 teams were 2-5 last year, so they got to do that. UCF, I don't think they probably don't have to be tough to win the UCF game. You probably don't have to be tough to win the North Dakota game, but you got to be tough enough to get yourself off the mat, I would say. So we'll learn about their toughness a little bit if that has improved, because I think you got to be tough to win the next 4 games. I don't think you have to be good to win the next 4 games. That's the funny thing. I think you have to be tough.
Yeah. Well, when you look at the Iowa State game, DY, and I took some heat on the post-game show for this. Iowa State fans, like if I was an Iowa State fan or if it was K-State on the other end of it, I'd probably be saying the same thing coming back to me. Like I said that K-State outplayed Iowa State in my mind was the better team and should have won that game. But there are reasons why K-State obviously lost. And we can get into the situational reasons as to why that occurred. And Iowa State just being a tougher program. Iowa State fans took offense to that, right? Okay, I get it. Like
they probably should. They probably should. Or they don't want to hear Kansas State's better than them when they beat Kansas State 3 straight times in 5 of the last 6.
But you understand
yes, I
where
agree.
I'm coming from when you look at this.
Statistically, Kansas State outplayed them statistically. But when you get in between the lines and on the plays that matters, that's when Iowa State won the game. So they won the game on 4th down. They won the game in short yardage. Yep.
Yeah, and we're gonna hit on that here in just a second. But like you saw Bill Connolly's post game win expectancy come out. K-State had a 79% chance to win the game based off the way the game played out. Like it's looking at the expectancy after the fact, and it's just like watching the game. It's like K-State squandered so many opportunities, as you know, DY. Like, I mean, and Iowa State squandered a couple too, right? They get the muff punt, and then they fumble the ball inside the 10-yard line when they're on the goal line there, and that helped K-State.
And that was their coaching mistake. Why are they?
Yeah, why are you running a pitch? Yeah,
why are you running a pitch inside the 10 when the weather gets real bad? And they had some things go their way too, right? Like I said, really the one reason like Kansas State really struggled to open up the offense and really couldn't was the conditions in the first half. And I questioned a little bit, but Mason was on the field. He videos the game and he said it was pretty miserable for most of the first half. Like, and I could kind of get that because quite frankly, we saw a lot of throws that weren't downfield that Avery Johnson tried to throw in that first half where it was clear that he wasn't getting a good grip of the football. So I do think weather impacted the way that they had to call the first half. What I was going to say is like, here's the good luck charm that Iowa State got a little bit, and their fans are going to get mad at this and it's okay, is like, the best weather of the first half when it finally cleared up was right before they threw that touchdown over Wesley Fair.
Yeah. And I mean, from a points per opportunity standpoint, I saw KSU_fan outline this as well. But look, K-State had 4 drives reach the Iowa State 30-yard line that resulted in 0 points. So, and Iowa State had 6 drives that got inside the 40-yard line of Kansas State, and they scored 24 points.
So were the 3 4th downs inside the 30 then? Because the other one would have been the Joe Jackson fumble, but what was the other one?
Yeah, so they reached the 30-yard line at one point. So Avery Johnson and Kansas State got it to the 30, and then he had the 12-yard intentional grounding, right, that pushed him back to the 42, and then they eventually had to punt right before the half. Joe Jackson's fumble occurred at the 21. There was the 3rd and 4th down stuff inside the 10-yard line. And then I believe the
not the Jaron Bradley one, but the one.
Yeah, I think the Jaron Bradley one got to the 30, and then they lost a couple of yards at one point, and so that play occurred on like the 32-yard line. I mean, it was
about the Jaron Bradley drop, but
yeah, the Jaron Bradley drop on 4th and 8. Yeah, and look, I mean, it might have been like the 32 or 33 to be frank. So, but it was inside the 40. I mean, you had 4 drives at a minimum, DY, that got inside the 35-yard line that got you 0 points. And they had 6 drives that got inside the 40 of Kansas State that resulted in 24, right? I mean, that to me is just the big difference. And we're going to break down some of what happened. But like you talk about the hard-nosed yards, right? I mean, think about the last 2 years against Iowa State. K-State held Iowa State to 3 of 14 on 3rd downs on Saturday. And they held the Cyclones to 3 of 16 on 3rd down in 2024 in Ames. That's a combined 6 of 30 on 3rd down, 20% 3rd down success rate. That is phenomenal. But Iowa State went 3 of 3 on fourth down attempts on Saturday. And they went 2 of 3 on fourth downs and aims last year. And 4 of those fourth down conversions, DY, were when Iowa State needed 1 yard. Rocco Beck put his head down and he ran for the first down on all 4 of those in the last 2 matchups, including 2 on Saturday. And then, of course, he converted a critical 4th and 3 pass to Carson Hansen to seal Saturday's game, which we'll get into here as well. But K-State on the other end, 8 of 26 on third downs the last 2 years, 31%, little better than Iowa State, but 2 of 8 on fourth down. And K-State had 2 4th and 1 attempts on Saturday. They both failed. In 2024, they had a 4th and 1 attempt as well that failed at the Iowa State 29, and they also failed to convert a 4th and 2. Like that's where the game, there's a lot of reasons K-State won or lost this game, but like their ability to get that 1 yard when they need it, Iowa State's versus K-State, that's a toughness factor. K-State, you would expect a program like K-State that prides itself on running the ball and being physical to get that 1 yard. And for whatever reason, they have not been able to do it against Iowa State.
Yeah, that goes back to the physicality and toughness factor. When they play teams that pride themselves on physicality and defense, or when they play in weather, it does not seem to go their way of recent. So that's why, to me, that is the bigger takeaway, more so than some of the X's and O's stuff or some of the performances. And quite frankly, we'll get into it. My immediate post-game recap was probably, upon reflection, a little bit too hard on Avery Johnson, at least in one capacity, and maybe not as hard as I should have been on other pieces, but we can get into that too.
Yeah, we'll make that actually our top storyline when we come back from a break. So we'll throw to a break right now. We'll talk more K-State football, and then we'll start to get into our all-22 film breakdown soon.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, they knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do.
What's good, everybody? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst, and I just want to let you all know that it's okay. You can take a slow, deep breath. Inhale and breathe out with one word: football. You feeling it? Yeah? Did you take that in? That sweet, sweet scent of grass and pigskin in? I'm ready. I hope you're ready too, because we're going to have an absolutely awesome season once again together. And especially for all of you in the state of Missouri, get your popcorn, get your phones ready, because the wait is almost over. You can taste it. It's coming, people. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming. You say, show me. I say state. Later this football season, everything that you love about playing on DraftKings Sportsbook, sides, totals, spreads, props, same-game parlays, you name it, DraftKings Sportsbook is going to elevate your already great game day experience here with KCSN. And even if you don't get in by kickoff, no sweat, besides the promos on DraftKings that they offer as well, there's live in-game betting, payouts, faster than Xavier Worthy hauling down a bomb from 15 on the sidelines, all right from the comfort of your phone, wherever, whenever. You'll be betting with a top-rated sportsbook that is safe, secure, and trusted by millions of Americans across the country. Now, here's what you do. Follow your guy. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Be sure to use code KCSN as you get ready for sports betting to launch here in the state of Missouri. You're going to be the first in line for exclusive promos, can't miss offers, much, much more. It's code KCSN. That is KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook, subject to regulatory licensing requirements.
All right, DY, we're just going to make this our top storyline of the game, brought to you by our friends over at Elenco, the remodeler of choice in Northeast Kansas, the Kansas City area, and Western Missouri. If you're looking for a bathroom remodel, premium window replacements, siding, new doors on your home, and much more, Elenco's got you covered. Elenco's owned and operated by a family of tremendous K-Staters. Give them a call or go to elencohome.com. That's ALENCO home.com for all of your home improvement needs. DY, Avery Johnson finishes the game 21-30 for 273 yards, 9.1 yards per pass, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers, 168.4 passer rating, the second highest of his career behind only West Virginia, along with 7 true carries for 33 yards on the ground. How do you assess how Avery played? And do you think, based off a 1-game sample size, that he's made a sizable jump from what we saw last year to now?
Sizable is probably going to be hyperbolic just after 1 game, but when you throw only 9 incompletions on 30 attempts, throw for nearly 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks in what was kind of, ugly weather, especially in the first half. Of those 9 incompletions, 5 could be attributed to drops. Then he played a really good football game. He really turned it on in the second half. I talked about, in my media post-game reaction, kind of left wanting more. There's still a little bit of that, I will be honest, that I have. And a lot of that has to do with him running the football, I think. But in terms of throwing the football, he and coming up with the big play, like I said, like Rocco was coming up with that play and Avery wasn't. On a couple of 4th downs, I still say that. Like, Avery Johnson didn't get that extra yard when he needed it, when Rocco Becht always seemed to do that. So on 4th down, I will say that that's where Rocco probably showed up a little bit more than Avery, although Avery got dinged with a drop on 4th down, as we already alluded to earlier, just by Jerron Bradley. So that's where I probably overreacted. What I will say, where I would still pick him apart a little bit, is the fact that he seems to, at least since his true freshman year, really regressed as a runner for whatever reason. And I think some of that short yardage problems that Kansas State has is also him maybe not being willing to really put his head down and go as hard as he can into a pile to get that extra yard, where we see Rocco Becht has no problem doing that. Yes, there is a frame difference there, but there's 2 or 3 times a game where you're just going to have to do that, I think. And I would put that on him a little bit. Also short yardage. So I'm talking, that's my biggest problems probably with Avery Johnson, is on short yardage, both as a runner, but then also as a passer. Those short throws, he's throwing it to the incorrect shoulder a few times, where I think if he would have led the guy properly, I think of a ball he threw to Garrett Oakley that everyone's talking about, you're throwing short of the sticks, which you are, but that's a first down if he puts it on the correct shoulder too. So that happened a couple times. So even a few of his incompletions were not his fault because of drops. A few of his completions, he was fortunate to not be, that they're not on the ground, because you're getting credit with the completion where he didn't put the ball in the right spot. So I would say, yes, he was efficient, almost 70% passer, 21-30. Maybe that is 70%. I don't know.
It is.
But his ball placement still needs to be better at times. His completions can still be more effective and give his guys more room to run if the ball placement is better. So I would say that as well.
Yeah. I would agree with a lot of what you just said there. His throws downfield, obviously, like, I'll just give you the numbers here. 3 balls that went 20 plus yards through the air. DY goes 2 of 3, 102 yards. Now, I know those were busted coverages and guys were open. I think the Jaron Bradley one was a little harder throw, and he made a nice play there. 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, 90.8 passing grade. So obviously his highest passing grade were on balls that went 20 plus yards. And the other incompletion on the one that went 20 plus was a pretty darn good ball to Jace Brown in the end zone, right? I mean, it was a deep ball. It was catchable. Jace had inside position.
Probably a little late because Jace had to slow down for it, but yeah.
Okay. But he gave him a chance, right? I mean, he at least he got his hands on, all right? And then on passes traveling 10 to 19 yards, he goes 6 of 10, 103 yards, 83.8 passing grade. Not bad. But his most attempts in the game, 12, were from 0 to 9 yards. He goes 10 at 12, so high completion rate, but just 73 yards, 6.1 yards per pass, 67.3 passer grade. and then 3 of 3 on passes behind the line of scrimmage for -5 yards. His worst passing grade, 63.9. So
those got to be some of those just got to be blocked better. That's not necessarily an Avery, but also
right.
Some of the ones in the short game is Avery's ball placement needs to be better to actually let his guys run too.
We also can we get rid of the play DY where K-State is lateraling the ball on some of those passes, and it is actually a backward pass. It happened at Tulane last year. They got away with it. It happened with Devon Rice in this game. Like, that was a fumble. It was a live ball. K-State, it's not a risk you take. You got to make sure you're getting upfield and that pass is moving forward on some of those. So that's more of an issue, I assume, on the running back.
Or Avery's throwing it too soon.
Yeah.
So it's one or the other. Yep.
Yeah. The other thing I would mention, our friend Harambe pulled this for me from Pro Football Focus. Avery, when blitzed, 3 of 7 for 22 yards, DY, 50.9 NFL passer rating. When he wasn't blitzed, 18 of 24, 251 yards, 135.9 NFL passer rating. He's got to be better against the blitz. He's great when he isn't pressured, but a guy like him with his speed and athleticism, like even when teams bring blitzes, I'd like to see him use his legs.
Well, that kind of goes back to his unwillingness to take off, or is in a true freshman Avery Johnson, man. Like, you would see him turn on the jets and just go. And we haven't seen that from him as a starting quarterback. I don't know if that's a mindset or what it is, but we haven't seen it. So I think that's the biggest piece missing, and something I'm going to write. And I think this might be one of the 2 or 3 most important questions that one can ask for the rest of the season is, how many games can Kansas State conceivably win if Avery Johnson is not willing to be one of the best runners on the team?
Yeah, I mean, you see what – look, I don't want this to come across like we think Avery Johnson did a lot of good things. I don't want this to be construed.
No, I think it was I think he made great strides as a passer. I think the passing game, I mean, he went 21 to 30 for 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. That's why I said upon reflection, I was too hard on Avery Johnson. But I will say it is so significant and important for this team for him to really be a good runner. It really is.
No,
it's no fault of his own, but they need that component.
I completely agree with you. I just wanted to preface this discussion because there has been, kind of some you see people that are tweeting and going to social media. And
he's a better passer than a runner right now.
Which is shocking, right? I mean, like, what did we talk about on the preview pods of the season, DY? Like, longest run, 33 yards in his career still. And you just haven't seen like that pop or like
even him. You haven't seen that pop, but like you haven't even seen him hit like a high gear. He's a 23-mile-an-hour guy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him run 23 mile an hour in a game.
We want to see him run that on the field. It just doesn't. You don't see it in the games. And so, but you also, like you said, like there are times when Avery kind of curls up on contact, right? Like you want him to be the aggressor and run through contact.
Yeah, I don't want him to get hurt, but there's 2 or 3 times a game where you're just going to have to do that.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I was too whiny on the post-game show about the spot of the football by Salam's crew, so I apologize. I came across as a whiner on that, guys.
It was a bad spot, but they also couldn't overturn it.
You can't leave it in the officials' hands, right? I mean, that's one.
Yeah, and the officials spotted it poorly, but I also don't think the officials made a mistake by not overturning it. Without the lines there, without a shadow of a doubt, you can't do it.
Yeah. So apologize for coming across whiny to some of you. Look, this is where I need a 30-minute cooling off period because I look back, I'm an adult and these athletes have to go speak like 10 minutes after game.
I make the same mistakes in my instant takeaways, right? It's instant.
Yeah,
there was one game last year I got shredded for. This game I didn't really get shredded for anything I wrote, so pat on the back there, but I would have shredded myself a little bit. I was too hard on Avery comparing him to Rocco Becht, but the difference between the two on 4th down was sizable.
Yeah. So I was probably too reactionary emotional on the post-game show at Holiday Distillery. So I apologize if anybody took it that way. I recognize that certainly and had some time to kind of reflect, but it is, you go live 5 minutes after such a game like that, right? An emotionally driven game. And it's a unique experience. We're not used to starting 0-1 in the conference to start college football. Like, you've lost season opening games before, but they're non-con games. The Stanford game, 2017? Wasn't that their 2016. I can't remember, in Palo Alto. I think that was the opening game of the season.
It was not 17. 17 was Vanderbilt, though.
Okay. Yeah, which was like game 3 of the year. But 16, I think, was Palo Alto at Stanford. And, didn't hurt that much. Like, first of all, you were outplayed and you knew you were playing a top 10 Christian McCaffrey-led Stanford team, but it's not a conference game. And in this era, the college football playoff, like, winning your conference is so vital. And to be down now 0-1 in the league and to have that head-to-head loss against a team that's probably going to contend for the Big 12 championship, that's painful. So, yeah. I think you look at just the play, DY, where Iowa State empties the backfield, right? I think this was in the first half. It's 4th and 1. They just empty the backfield. We know what they're doing. Rocco Beck's going to take the ball and he's going to go run and try to get the first down, and he did. And then you look what K-State did. Now, I don't love the play design, and we'll get into it, but K-State goes empty. Avery back there. We knew Avery was running it, and he didn't get it. Like, that is the difference.
Yeah, that is the difference, right? When Avery was running, they knew it. They stopped him. Rocco, we knew he was running it. We knew it, and we still didn't stop him. Like, some of that's offensive line, and some of that's just true grit on the quarterback, just having a really good knack there in between the lines. You talk about Iowa State, too, and just how that sets up. And I don't want to get too much into this because, it's annoying to think about. But Iowa State just beat Kansas State, and they don't play Texas Tech, Utah, or Baylor.
Yeah, easier schedule, definitely. And then, we talk about Avery, right? But 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, back-to-back plays inside Iowa State's 10, and you give the ball to your running back, Joe Jackson, twice, and he can't get it.
You got to keep it in Avery's hands at least once there. I would have rolled him out in one of those downs, probably the 3rd down play, and give him outside the pocket. You put the defense in conflict, run it, pass it. What do you do? I would have done that. And maybe I come back to Joe Jackson, maybe not out of shotgun or they were under center. I don't know what I would have done. But Joe Jackson wouldn't be getting the ball both times, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I agree.
In mine. Yeah.
Like, when you have a dual threat quarterback with Avery's capability, like, you need to make the defense respect him, as well.
But we keep going back to that, but Avery's got to make them do that.
Yeah. And look, there are plays, and I think we have one on the all 22 we're going to do where, I think there's some read plays too, where it's always hard to know if it's truly a read or not. And Avery has the opportunity to keep the football, but there are probably some chances there. And we'll talk about that. Look, K-State, we're going to get into the all 22. We're going to throw to break in a minute here, but I will just, on the K-State running game a little bit more and their struggles against Iowa State, 16 carries for 61 yards from your running backs. From your true running backs in this game. And last season, 18 carries for 80 yards from your running backs. But one was a DJ Giddens 36-yard run last year. And Jackson's was 17 this year.
What would be interesting is look at the last, I know you probably don't have it, but take away the bowl game. The last 4 or 5 games have been that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I could go back and pull that. I don't have it handy now, but I was, it's, if you take
remember we were thinking, DJ must be banged up. They're not running the ball well.
Well, you remember the Arizona State game, they had a 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 near midfield early in that game, and they couldn't get it there either. And then the Houston game, they had a 4th and 1 and they couldn't get it. Or 3rd and 1, I think, and they didn't get it. They got a 5-yard loss.
This is everything after the 7-1 start. Ever since that 7-1 start, running the ball traditionally with the running backs has been a little bit of a grinder outside of the bowl game. But I will say the bowl game is 4 good runs.
Yeah, no, I agree. But if you take away Giddens' 36-yarder and Jackson's 17-yarder in this game that he fumbled, you had, against Iowa State, running backs had 32 carries for 88 yards, 2.8 yards per rush. So,
and that goes back to needing Avery a little bit here.
Yeah. So that's part of it. And then, and we're going to throw it a break, I promise here. But, DY, you mentioned Iowa State on the ground. Did you think K-State's defense just wore down? They couldn't get off the field in the second half. Chris Kleiman talked about the defense wearing down and injuries. That's one concern I have, is that Kleiman's talking about in the press conference yesterday, they got to get more depth, et cetera. It's game 1 and we're already talking about having injuries and depth concerns.
It's not ideal, but some of that too, you probably didn't expect, right before, a couple weeks before the season on your defensive line. And you're playing more defensive line now because you went to a 4-2-5. So now you need more defensive line rather than you would in a 3-3-5. That's part of it. You're switching defensive systems, but you can't absolutely overhaul your roster at the same time. So you probably don't have exactly the numbers you have. And then two guys you want to count on for a good amount of snaps aren't there. Like Ryan Davis being out means that's probably 30, 40 snaps to everybody else that they don't want to give. Malcolm Alcorn Crowder being out means that's 5 snaps for Holden Bass. That's 60 snaps for Damian Ilalio. So those turned out to be substantial injuries where I probably overlooked them.
Yeah. We'll talk about just a little bit more of that when we come back from a break, and then we'll do the all-22. So let's toss to a break right now, and then we'll get into that a little bit more on the defense.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network.
Defensively, DUI, like we talked about, like the final 4 drives of the game, Iowa State ran 37 plays for 216 yards, 5.8 yards per play.
That's part where the lack of depth comes in too, because when you're on the field that much. Yep.
But the first 37 plays of the game, Iowa State's first 8 drives encompassed 37 plays, DY, 97 yards of offense.
You got to get off the field on 4th down. The 4th downs killed them because that also meant you had to keep your defense on the field for what, 10 to 15 more plays?
Yep. Yeah. So 5.8 yards per play on the final 38 plays or 37 plays, 2.6 yards per play on the first 37. And that's where it gets it's frustrating because in Iowa State's last 78 games, dating back to the start of the 2019 season against Chris and Kleiman era, the Cyclones have averaged 4.3 yards per play or less 6 times out of the 78. And 2 of those have occurred against K-State in the last 2 seasons, which makes it all the more frustrating. K-State lost both games because they averaged 6.7 yards per play to Iowa State's 4.3 in this game and 6.1 to Iowa State's 4.1 last year. And then also, continues to be a wild stat, and the turnover battle evens up at 2-2 at the end of the day. But Rocco Beck got away with obviously a monstrous decision where it should have been picked off again in this game. And now Iowa State's attempted 194 passes against K-State dating back to 2019. 7 games. They haven't thrown a single interception in 194 attempts, despite doing their best to do so, and K-State just hasn't been able to capitalize. So,
and the defense deserves to get dinged. They couldn't close the game out when finally the offense got clicking. But if you hold Iowa State to a little over 4 yards per play, it's actually not bad. Now, you weren't as good in the second half, but you were probably still good enough. The problem is those 4th down conversions is what I am saying. They were 3 of 14 on 3rd down. That's a good defensive performance. But when you allow 3 4th down conversions, that changes an entire complexion of the game. That's why a team can still score as many times that Iowa State did while only having 4.3 yards per play, because it wouldn't scientifically make sense unless you're going literally 3 yards in a cloud of dust and using up 4 freaking plays a set of downs. The problem was 4th down. Now the problem was getting gashed a little bit in the run game late. I would agree with that. You got beaten man coverage twice. Both Donovan McIntosh and Wesley Fair took a pretty good ball on the one that McIntosh covered. Beck put that on him. That was a perfect throw in a perfect situation. And then the one on Wesley Fair is, all out blitz. He had a safety and man coverage. Somebody's got to be a man coverage if you really go cover 0 with the blitz. And probably didn't take a perfect throw. Fair probably got there a little bit late, but the blitz has got to get there in that situation too. And like I said, that was kind of good fortune there for Iowa State, because they got the one possession basically in the first half that didn't have a torrential downpour.
And what did you think of Chris Kleiman's decision to go for the 4th and 1? I was fine with it. What did you make of it?
I had no problem with any 4th down attempt by any team, for either team. Yeah, I thought, to be honest, decision making in that capacity, I think Kleiman and Campbell both were nails.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And look, part of the reason we just outlined, the defense. I mean, you went for the 4th and 3 or the 4th and 1, you didn't get it right. Iowa State scores, but K-State got that 7 points back just a couple minutes later with the 65-yard play. So then you still have 6+ minutes and multiple timeouts, and you couldn't get the stop. So that just gets back to Kleiman saying we couldn't get off the field. If I was worried if we punted, my defense wouldn't be able to get off the field. Well, they couldn't do it in 6:23. Who's to say they're going to do it in 8 minutes with a longer field to go?
Yeah, glass half empty too is glass half full is the defense is going to get some help. and soon, I don't know when, you're going to get some dudes back that they were missing. And I say dudes, I think it's a few guys that they really will count on a lot of really good players. Glass half empty is the only reason why you got the stops you did in the first half. And we said, man, the Stevens was lights out in the first half. It's better than we thought. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it was Iowa State being caught with their pants down because they were prepared for a 3-3-5 rather than a 4-2-5. I don't know. Like, those are the glass half empty theories. And then they went in the halftime, fixed that. Say, hey, they're playing 4 down. The weather's nicer. Now Iowa State can't be stopped.
Yep. All right. Well, let's do a little all 22 here for about 10, 15 minutes and just run through a few plays and give people a glimpse of some of what happened on Saturday. So, Nick, I don't know if you're ready to roll the first play here. If those of you watching on YouTube can see it, check it out. We'll try to talk through it for those of you listening on the audio platforms. But, Nick, if you want to pull up the whatever play you want to pull up, Nick, we'll call. So, Nick's asked, I didn't really give him a lineup of, hey, timely. The 4th and 1 right here to Avery Johnson. And DY, you pointed this out. This is with 8 minutes left in the game. K-State pulls J.B. Nelson here from right guard, but J.B. Nelson doesn't get around to make an impact on the play, right? Like, I don't know if Avery needs to be more patient there, let J.B. Nelson come around and has the cutback lane to his right. Like, what do you see here? What do you think of this?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what happens if Avery gets a little hesitant. Does he get caught? But it doesn't seem like anyone's there. So Avery being a little bit more patient here probably helps. But JB Nelson, that's a real slow pull. So you gotta get to your spot if you're JB Nelson. And if Avery does wait a half second and just goes behind him, I think he gets it easy, to be quite honest, because JB Nelson's a pretty powerful dude, but he never gets there, so it never has a chance because you don't have the numbers if JB Nelson doesn't get there. So that's the problem here is the Avery JB Nelson thing here. Taylor Portier makes a good block. I think Will Ancio gets his hat on somebody as well. Yeah. So, or no, that's Garrett Oakley. But the problem there is, does Avery's patience get rewarded if he gets a little bit more patient here, or does JB Nelson just need to get there quicker? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I would agree. So, I mean, you do see, like, if he is a little more patient, like that cutback lane might be there, but it's also hard. Like, you need a yard. Like, sometimes you just want to put your head down and get there and get it. And they get.
Yeah, I don't know about a cutback lane here, but if he just rides, JB Nelson's coattail with that big mover, I think he probably gets it. But
yep. All right. Nick, you just pick the plays, Nick, and we'll figure it out as we talk through it. I didn't give you a great setup here. All right, we'll just watch this for a second and see which one this is. So
this is the
this is the fourth. Yeah, this is the Jaron Bradley drop. I wanted to show this one to you guys because there's really nothing here, and Avery gets out of the pocket. He can't run. They got a spy out there that's kind of floating around waiting for Avery. Avery makes a great play here. Great throw. A fifth year receiver has to catch this ball, DY. I mean, Jaron Bradley's got to make the play.
I would agree. It was a good ball, but when he threw it, like it was, I don't know if he was kind of covered. So I just think it was an easy concept here once Avery had to roll to the left because the defense knew where he was going to go with the ball. You got two guys in the same area. I think that's part of the problem here.
Yep, I agree. So, yeah, I didn't love the route tree. This is where it'd be helpful to have Curry, DY, but I didn't love the route combination.
I think this ended up a scramble play, obviously, because Oakley's not open, so he just keeps running, but he's running towards Jaron Bradley's route, and he takes his guy over there. There's a little obstruction there, too. Jaron Bradley's still got to catch that ball. And Avery, the ball plays ended up being in a good spot, but I don't even know if it was that as open as it should have been if Avery – you know what I mean? I think Avery almost got fortunate there too.
Yeah. Okay.
Jackson stop ears. You talked about Dominic Orange. They triple team him. Probably not a bad idea with the way he was dominating in short yardage, but someone's got to get that gap. And you wonder if it's Terrence Enos there that should have been because he kind of blocks too far down almost. But I don't know. The gap is unaccounted for either here for some reason. Is it Terrence Enos supposed to be there? Is it Garrett Oakley But if Garrett Oakley doesn't block the guy he does, he's getting in there anyway. So
Yeah, somebody screwed up here because I don't think you can have three guys blocking the nose tackle. Dominique Orange, he's a hell of a player, but you got two guys. Your guards are blocking down on Orange. Enos is blocking down. And this is to say, like, Will Swanson almost saves the play. He takes out two guys. Tight end Will Swanson.
yeah, I will say, if you watch too, the guy that Terrence Enos kind of half blocks is someone that Andrew Linegang clips anyway when he blocks down. So Terrence Enos didn't block anyone that would have been significant on the play, which makes me think, maybe he's got the gap. I don't know.
Yeah, and you would like to. I mean, the play is designed right where either that's a safety or linebacker there. It's hard to tell from this angle, but he comes right through the gap of where this play is designed. Tarantino sees to block upfield there and get to that second level, take that guy on. So that's what my assumption is. So again, you had a 3rd and 1 play here too that you couldn't get right before this, and then 4th and and I don't love going under center straight handoff to Joe Jackson.
It's not ideal. I will say that was a hell of a play by Will Swanson. Too bad it get forgotten.
Yeah, you'd like to think that your tight end takes out two guys that you can still make it work, but couldn't find success. All right, next play, 65-yard touchdown pass to Jaron Bradley here. Want to show a positive play. A little bit of a busted coverage, but really, honestly, just a really nice throw by Avery Johnson, DY. And again, they get him on the run, and I feel like when they get Avery moving, like he's much more effective, and like to see that more. But what do you see here?
Yeah, it was a busted coverage, but I mean, it almost looked like Avery knew what he was going to get because he looked his way. Maybe it was just the first read anyway. There's no way for us to know, but Avery looked that way as soon as he got the snap. So it was either the first read or he knew that Bradley was going to be open. And then, I don't know. I didn't see the pre-snap to make me think Bradley was definitely going to be open. There was like two safeties over the top there that just never got there.
Well, like Iowa State sideline, like when he releases it looks like they think they're going to pick it off. Their sideline's jumping up and down. Like, see it? Like they maybe they were more jumping up and down because they were nervous what was going to happen. But I thought Avery was going to throw the ball to Oakley just on the little short 3-yard. He was open, was going to pick up 10, and Avery kept his eyes downfield.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are open, and I'll go back to it though. That if he throws it to Oakley, that was the kind of ball he was throwing it to the wrong shoulder, and he might not even got the first down. Those types of throws were happening here. On this play, I think Avery makes a really good throw, but and he probably saw this, but that one Iowa State, I'm guessing it's a safety, just had a terrible angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. What do we got next, Nick? 4th and 3 here. I'll tell you what, this one's frustrating for me, DY. This is the 4th and 3 to seal the game by Iowa State, and credit to you for asking a great question in the press conference about this play. Like, you asked Chris Kleiman if the intention was to have Cody Stuffleby in Kansas State's D end cover the running back Carson Hansen here. K-State brought all out pressure. Chris Kleiman, in response to your question, said, quote, "It was the intention. We brought pressure because we had to. Kid is too good if you just let him sit back there," talking about Rocco Beck. "The ends are responsible for the peel, and their kid made a play. Hansen's a good player. Rocco's a good player. That's football. Players make plays." End quote from Chris Kleiman yesterday after your question at the press conference. DY, I don't like this at all. Like, you cannot put a D end on the running back here. Quay Moss needs to be covering the running back instead. He's blitzing. And you drop Toby Osunsomni, who had the highest pressure rate on the team. He's dropping in coverage. So you're blitzing 6-7 guys here, but you're dropping your best pass rusher out into the flats in coverage, and you're having Cody Stuffleby in a DN cover the running back on one of the biggest plays of the game. Like, I cannot stomach. I honestly, I just assume K-State made a mistake. To hear Chris Kleiman say and acknowledge this was the intention, I was hoping he was just protecting his guys. Like, this cannot be the intention. Like this, I hate this. What do you think of it?
Yeah, well, if you're going to bring pressure, I do think in that situation maybe you want to bring your best guys. So that's what you're alluding to with Toby. So I kind of get that, but Toby was also really wearing down in that second half. So I don't know if that crossed the mind here as well, or maybe they overthought that.
But he's on the field. Like, if he's going to be on the field, he's got to rush in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of there with you, but That's the problem with maybe you need Toby and Ryan Davis. It's rough here because, to be honest, if you just flip the two, you'd probably be better off. Because I mean, Cody Stuffle being asked to do that is a little steep, of course, but he could probably do it if he was on Toby's side of the short side of the field. I mean, because he actually ended up making a shoestring tackle anyway, so he wasn't actually that completely out of it. But you'd still, on the field side, rather a better athlete doing that. So I would rather have Toby defending the flat and the short side of in the field side, the longer side of the field there too. He's a better athlete, so that would be my thing. If you're going to do that, I think Stuffleby needs to have the short side of the field rather than the long one, if you're going to do that. But again, you're bringing pressure. You're trying to screw with his eyes. I know what they're thinking. I think they'd probably overthought it, is what I would say. They overthought it. They thought about it too much. Another thing is, like, you show it too early. Rocco Beck's been around they say it all the time. He's been around. Like, it's hard to trick him. Well, it's a lot harder to trick him if you show him what you're going to do first, and then he can kind of make his adjustments based on that. So I think, and you said it a little bit in a message to me not long ago, but some of those times they need to disguise it a little bit better and not give Rocco the opportunity to really break it down as well, because I think that happened a little bit there too. But if you're going to do that, I think Toby and Stufflebean should have been flipped. And Ryan Wallace actually said that in his tweet. If you're going to do that, you'd rather the better athlete cover the longer side of the field.
Yeah. So that was disappointing. And Chris Glyman saying that, like, you feel like you need to bring pressure against him. I mean, Rocco Beck's numbers were better against the blitz than when they didn't bring pressure in this game. So they've done well against Rocco Beck the last 2 years. 13 and 35 last year, 50% in this game.
So it was 4th and 3, so they probably brought it, because what if they run too?
Yeah. All right.
But then you're backing off the DN, so I don't know.
Well, speaking of Rocco Beck and getting away with things and turnover-worthy plays, here is a huge play in the game. K-State just tied it at 14, and you dropped the pick.
I think Quade Moss got in Donovan's way here.
Yeah, you can see from this angle here that
like, because Donovan didn't even know when to put his hands up. Like, the ball smacked him right in the gut, I think. So I think that's why I think Moss. It's bad luck, but Quay Moss tries to get that ball too. That's him being aggressive. He's got to do it. But that's why I think there was an obstruction here, because McIntosh lost the ball. You could tell. It's
such a bad throw, DY. Like, that's the thing. Like, you got multiple defenders going for it because it's such a bad placement and spot and decision by Rocco Beck. And not only that, like, McIntosh is maybe slipping here, just trying to get it into his stump. But, like, this is a play that could be almost a pick six if he stays on his feet, makes the catch. I mean, look who he's got to run. He's got one guy out there with a blocker in Romaine, or I can't know who that is, but, like, this is a huge opportunity. You just tied it at 14. I had just went over to one of a former K-State player that was at the bar, said, hey, like, we're due to make an interception on Rocco Beck. And then that happened, and I just sunk to the floor. I just fell to the floor. So,
and that's, again, they didn't blitz there. So,
yeah. Yep. You just rushed 4. All right. What do we got next, Nick?
We're probably running out.
Yeah, we only got a couple more left here. Okay.
We got Avery. That's the intentional grounding. He's got the guy up top is going to be covered in man, but you got an opportunity there, at least in man coverage. But Jace is also, because that safety's in a blender in the middle of the field, doesn't know which way to go. So you're going to have Jace or Tibbs wide open if Sandheck Sandheck. You got to get that middle rusher. That tells me, though, I will say, Avery probably didn't call that out either then.
Yeah, though you'd like so Iowa State did this to Sam Heck last year. Remember? That's what the safety happened on.
Absolutely. But that's on both of those guys. Avery Johnson or Sam Heck, one of those has got to see that. Like, they didn't expect that guy to take off. That was a great disguised blitz. That guy's on his heels when the ball snapped. That's why they didn't think he was coming. So that's why Sam Heck got there late. But they didn't see it. They didn't detect it. And that's on both Sam Heck and Avery Johnson.
Yeah, but we put this play in because we want to show you, like, this is a missed opportunity. Like,
Yeah.
this is a touchdown right here. If you just block a guy or get a hand on a guy. Andrew Lengang doesn't get a hand on the D.
Yeah. So, like,
That-
it wouldn't have mattered, actually. Like, that middle blitzer is the one that really.
I think if you pick up the middle blitzer, though, DY, he has time, enough time at that point to get that ball. Like, I think he just sees it.
I think Langang's guy is going to make enough of an impact. Now, it's not going to be an intentional grounding, but it's going to throw off your throw so much that you're probably not going to get the ball there still on target anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's there. Langang doesn't get his. There's somebody from the left that gets absolutely beat too. Yeah, the stories have two guys that they had no idea that Iowa State's going to bring a blitz there. So
it is an awful pickup. I mean, you have 3 guys basically running free. 3 guys on a 5-man rush. You got 5 guys in.
Yeah, I mean, Langang just gets beat by his guy, but they bring 2 on Pastori's left, so he gets 1. So that's 1 guy through. The Sam Heck tries to double the guy to the left of him, doesn't realize the backer's going to come up the middle. I mean, that's rough, and you have to rely on your quarterback pre-snap to kind of pick up on some of that stuff, though.
Yeah. Offensive line had a lot of struggles, especially in the running game, getting push. Pretty good in pass pro, other than that play right there, which was huge.
To be honest, that was really the only huge gaffe in pass pro.
John Pastore, really good. Shout out to him at left tackle in his first true start. Really good in this game. But everybody else on that offensive line, I wouldn't give favorable grades to in this one.
So we get the strip sack coming next.
Yeah, this is the last one here. Got to show a positive play here. I love Quay Moss. Yeah, I loved watching him come on this blitz. I mean, look how he just goes right around, sneaks around the left guard there, forces the fumble. K-State recovers it. Like, Quay Moss is going to be a player.
I thought he was pretty good. The left side of this line does a good job. I think it was Stuffelbein that really took on 2 guys to kind of give Quay the crease. So we'll watch it unfold here.
They're kind of a stunt. Yeah.
Stuffelbein. Yeah, to be honest, I think they were going to get there even if Quay didn't get there, because Stuffelbein pushed his guy back quite a bit here. So did Jordan Allen.
Yeah. This is a
Iowa State just blocked that poorly, because even if Quay Moss doesn't get there, Rocco Beck's got too much traffic in his face.
Yeah, they ran a stunt earlier in the game with Tobias Asomna. He came free untouched and got a sack as well.
Jordan Allen was a pretty good pass rusher in this game as well.
They got a sack on the very first drive of the game, and really his first significant playing time of his career. So shout out to Olathe South.
I kind of liked him. If you have Toby and Ryan Davis and Jordan Allen all there, I think there's brighter days ahead. But again, for me, it's not as much as the X and O's. This team has to have a better mindset moving forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're not the football savants that Curry is. It'll be back next week to talk more film and go through the plays. But hopefully it was helpful for you guys just to see some of the things from a different angle that you don't typically see on the TV broadcast that we went through here. And we'll be back to talk K-State pregame North Dakota this week. And hopefully Kansas State gets back on the right track, starts at home on Saturday. And I mean, DY, what will you be looking for like Saturday? Just come out fresh, big start early, look energized. Like what's like a big thing that you're really looking for in a game like North Dakota?
Man, to see if some of the mistakes from week 1 are a trend or not. That's the big thing. Maybe less blocking assignment miscues. Maybe some health. See if a guy like Ryan Davis can get back, a guy like Malcolm Alcorn Crowder can get back. Those types of things. How much Gunnar Maldonado, how much more he can play than he did on Saturday. Hopefully he get a little bit more of a running game going. I think that's important to see if like the passing game, if it was really going to be that efficient and that effective downfield, or if that was just a product of something different, because we didn't see it in the first half. So if you get that for a full game, then you'll be like, oh, that was probably weather related, perhaps, because there is some things that you can look at irregardless of the caliber opponent that'll be across from you. Now I know from the general fan, they're not going to take anything from this game against North Dakota. They've already kind of have their conclusions based on the last 2 years and on that first game losing to Iowa State. But there's really nothing that Kansas State's going to do in the next 4 games to the general fan. They're going to grade and judge and gauge Kansas State based on what they do in that Baylor game, as long as they're 4-1 or 5-1, whatever it may be. I think 4-1, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not 4-1, they'll probably, I mean, some of these fans are going to fold up. So,
Yeah.
That's where it gets down to for me. Physicality, toughness, grit. And to be honest, the North Dakota game's probably not going to give you that. No, the Army and the Arizona game might.
Yeah, I would agree. All right. We didn't even talk about Dylan Edwards being out and the impact that had. We'll get to some of that on the pre.
That probably hurt the game plan a sizable chunk.
Yeah.
Matt
We'll talk.
Really just on the fly there.
Yeah, we'll talk more of that on the pregame show. Some more updates. Chris Kleiman also said Gus Hawkins has to play a talented redshirt freshman tackle. So that was a
that might be
that I had.
because we just saw some of it, but the right side of the offensive line was not nearly as good as the left side.
Yep. So more to come this week on KCSN and 3MA. Appreciate you all. Again, appreciate Holiday Distillery. Go check out Elenco. Go to elencohome.com for all your home improvement needs, and go to Holiday Distillery or your local liquor store. Get stocked up with some Ben Holiday bottled and bond bourbon for Saturday's kickoff in Manhattan. Going to be beautiful weather, 6 p.m. kick at Kansas State. Time to get back on the right track and get that first win notched, and hopefully we'll see significant improvement from week to week moving forward. Appreciate DY, appreciate Nick Springer behind the scenes, and appreciate all of you. Thank you for listening to another episode of 3MA.